Hello, I'm glad you're watching and listening today. Today we're going to learn about Jesus calling his disciples. And a disciple is someone who learns from you and follows you, and that's what these people were. They followed Jesus and they learned so that they could go out and tell people about Jesus and God. So the Bible story comes from Matthew 4:18 through 22, and some more in Matthew 10, verses 1 through 4. There are other parts. We need to read like the whole book to figure out where all these disciples came from. But there were 12 that were the first disciples, and those are the ones we're talking about today. So here's Matthew 4, verses 18 through 22. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and followed him. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. They were in a boat with their father Zebedee, preparing their nets. Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. So Jesus continued to choose his disciples, and in chapter 10, verses 1 through 4, it continues. He called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and heal every disease and sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. So Jesus sent them out to help people and teach them. I like this. Here's one. It showed Jesus talking to the fishermen when he was calling them to be his disciples. And I like this book because it talks about all 12 of the disciples just on these 2 pages. So he called them, and these are different events that happen, and we get at the Last Supper, and there's all 12 that they had. They had dinner with Jesus one last time. And then on the map of Palestine, it talks about a few more. Philip, Peter, and Andrew were from Bethsaida, and Bethsaida's over here by the Sea of Galilee. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were fishermen, so all four of them were from the area of the Sea of Galilee. Matthew, whose name was Levi before Jesus changed it, was a tax collector in Capernaum. And Capernaum is there on the Sea of Galilee. And Nathanael, also called Bartholomew, whom Jesus saw under a tree, was from Cana. And Jesus said he would see angels going in and out of heaven. And Cana is close to Nazareth. So Jesus and his disciples, they were walking a lot. They would walk from the Sea of Galilee to Jerusalem, and that's about 60 miles. So they did a lot of walking back then, and they would go and talk to people about Jesus and God. So I wonder, what would you have done if you had been a fisherman at the Sea of Galilee and Jesus asked you to be his disciple? What do you think you would do? And what do you think it was like to be a disciple in Jesus' time? There's something bigger in the box today. And it's a fish. Jesus said, I will make you fisher of men. And that means that Jesus wanted the disciples to tell everyone about God and how much he loves us. Today's faith word is include, and it means to welcome all of God's children in God's love. And this is very important. That means that God invites all of us, every single person on earth who wants to be one of his children and to know God's love and know Jesus. And fishers of men also means that God teaches us how to teach other people about God and to help find other disciples, people who want to be part of the community of believers. And there are Christians all around the world today because the disciples started telling people about Jesus and God. And our Bible verse is from Psalm 145:9. The Lord is good to everyone and everything. God's compassion extends to all his handiwork. And we're God's handiwork. The world is God's handiwork. So he really cares about us and loves us. We're going to go ahead and close with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for sending your son Jesus to teach us how to fish for people. Thank you for bringing us together as a community of believers. Amen. And also, if you'd like, if you could have one of these papers, we're all called to be disciples too. So you can write your ideas, or your mom or dad can write it for you, or brother or sister. What do you think makes a good disciple? Well, it's certainly loving people and caring about them and helping them and sharing the good news about Jesus and God. Okay, and it also says, when you grow up, how can you be a good disciple? What would you do? And we just talked about different gifts that people have. So disciples do different things. They could sing or teach or be an artist, many things. And then the back is a timeline. So from the time when you were a baby, and maybe your mom and dad took you to church with them, and a toddler, kindergarten, grade school, how are you changing and growing as a disciple? So that's what we talked about today. And keep on learning about God and Jesus.